with Golden Home Fitness, and today we'll be going through another workout similar to what we did last week. Last week we were just using your own body weight movements that you can do at home or on the road or even in a fitness facility to use. Today we're going to add some equipment. We're going to use the resistance tubing right with the handles. If you don't have handles, not a problem. And we also have some resistance loops that we can use as part of today's workout. So you can visit us at our website, goldenhomefitness.com. If you don't have tubes or you can certainly go to that website, go to the shop page, and you'll be able to find various fitness equipment that you can purchase for your own fitness needs and supplements and so forth too that you'll find there. So feel free to check that out. But today, again, we're going through the workout, and I'm going to demonstrate a series of 8 exercises for you. Each you can use with the loop or with the tube, or you can pick, right? If you only have one of these pieces of equipment, obviously you'll be limited to that. Otherwise, you can pick and choose which one you prefer using. So, and it'll be good to do this in a circuit training format today because, one, when you do this on your own time, you'll be able to get the time limited to whatever you may have, right? You can do this 2 or 3 times through. And also, it's a good way to keep that heart rate elevated during your workouts while getting multiple body movements and muscle groups engaged for the workout. So what I'm going to have you do to start is bring it down to the floor because we'll get right to the warm-up. So just make sure you have enough floor space for the warm-up and the fitness activities today, as well as a mat or comfortable flooring and some water. Right? Make sure you have water. You always want to stay hydrated during your workouts. Here's what we'll do. Lie on your back. We're going to work on some range of motion for the shoulders. So keep that back flat. I want your knees bent so your feet are also flat on the floor. And position your arms so that the elbows are at 90 degrees, just as if you're going to do a press. And elbows away from the body. From here, let's slowly lower the top of the forearm and the hand towards the floor. You're going to keep it on the floor or as close to the floor as you can. From here, I'm going to turn so you can see me a little better. From here, we're going to reach up overhead. Just like that, and then slowly return to your starting position. So 2, and again, work with the range of motion you have, right? If you have to keep your arms further from the floor, then we'll work with that. And good. We're going to stop right there. Next, I'm going to have you bring it to the hands and knees, also known as the quadruped position. So while you are on your hands and knees, we're looking to keep your back flat. Tuck your toes so that your toes point straight down into the floor. Hips stacked over your knees, shoulders over your wrists. I'm going to take my right hand, so you can use your right hand, place the fingertips behind your ear. We're going to bring the elbow towards your left hand or arm, and then slowly we're going to turn away from the floor. So again, rotate in towards your left arm, and then turn away, elbow to the ceiling. 2 more times. 1 more. Good, and switch. Same thing, this time left finger's behind your ear, elbow towards the right arm, and away, up towards the ceiling. Good. You're trying to keep your hips stable so they're not sliding from one side to the other. And it's good. We're going to stop right there. It's a good way to work in some mobility, some movement for your spine, the mid, upper back region especially. And what we're doing now is remaining in that quadruped position, but we're going to do some mule kicks or some leg extensions. Same position. All right, try to maintain a nice flat back. From here, extend one leg straight back behind you so that leg is in line with the torso. You're going to return it back in, push through your heel. So let's go ahead, let's do that. 3. We're going to go 4 more times and then switch to the other leg for 8 reps total. So good exercise to activate the hips, but also a little bit of anti-rotation. So let's switch legs for 8 repetitions. Again, push through the heel, squeezing your glutes at the end of that extension. Doing great. Breathe out through the movement, in as you pull it back in. Out, breathe in. So I might be doing an extra one here, but that's okay. Good. So we'll stop right there. And moving on to the next will be on your knees. So go ahead. I want you kneeling nice and tall, and then from this point, you're going to step forward with one leg. This front foot should be flat on the floor. And the back toes, again, you want the toes pointing straight down the floor. Watch out for your leg. Make sure that it's not turning inside nor too much outside, because you can see you lose your balance. Also, watch your foot. Make sure it's not falling out or falling in. You want everything nice and in line with each other. Good. Hips stacked over your knee. Let's go ahead and tuck the tailbone and glutes. You're going to squeeze the glutes, pulling it underneath your torso, nice and tall, and then relax. We're going to do that again. And relax. And while you're squeezing the glutes, it's going to allow for the front to release so you can get more of a stretch from it. One more time. Squeeze the glutes, get that stretch in front, and we're going to switch. We'll do it this way so you can see a good angle here. So hip over the knee, same thing. Tuck in that tailbone and squeeze that glutes. Relax. Again. You're going to keep your spine nice and tall. Relax. Squeeze. Sometimes you may need something to hold on to for better balance, so absolutely please do so. And it's good. We're going to relax there and stop. The next movements for the warm-up will be on our feet. So slowly bring it upright. Okay. So standing flies. We're going to do some flies. And we're going to rotate through the arms too. So as you're standing tall, keep your feet roughly hip-width apart. All right, so it's comfortable. Arms will start out in front about chest height. From here, palms will face down. We're going to bring those arms out wide. Rotate so the palms face up as you're squeezing those shoulder blades towards the spine. So let's go. Bring it forward and out. Palms down, palms up. Good. All the while, keep those glutes engaged so you have a nice tall spine. We're going to go one more time. Great, and we're going to stop there. Great way to get those shoulders loosened up and opening up the chest, right? A little bit of a stretch, getting those muscles in the upper back activating as well. Next, we're going to do some side lunges, and you don't need to come down for a full side lunge, but make sure you have enough space to the side. As we step out laterally, just going to bend that knee, so from the side, right? Hips back, knee bends, and then push through that foot. So same side, down, and push down to the floor to stand up. Again. One more time. And switch legs. Let's go. Down and up. So your chest should always be facing forward for this. My toes are also pointing forward. One more time. Good. Very nice. Very nice. Nice and tall at the top. And now we have a standing march. Just going to work in a little bit more repetition for these movements. And we'll try to get the heart rate elevated slightly higher. 3, 2, jumping jacks coming up. Let's go. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. We're going to stop right there. Very nice. So hopefully you're feeling warmed up. Of course, after a warm-up, if you still feel that there's tightness in a particular area of your body, feel free to put more emphasis on getting that to ease before you get into your workout. But let's go ahead. Let's grab a quick sip of water, and then we'll head into our workout. So again, today it's not so much, well, at least for the first set, I'm just going to go through each movement and demonstrate how you can use the equipment for each specific exercise. And then we'll tie it all together for an actual set of 8 exercises for your circuit workout. I'm just going to grab something, make sure that I have that handy. Good. The first movement I'm going to show you first with the resistance tubing. So that's the thinner tube, right, that has the handles attached to it. Hopefully you can see the handles. And we're going to do a chest press. So have it anchored either to some sort of loop. If you have some kits, right, will have like an anchor you can put into the door jamb, so you can use that, or any type of post that you can wrap around. because I have this wrapped around. So I'm going to have my hands in each handle with the anchor behind me. And I have the tubing on the inside of my arm. It's more comfortable for me. If you prefer the tube to the outside of the arm, that's fine as well. But once you are standing, stand far enough forward so you feel some tension in that tube. You can keep your feet side by side if you like, right? Roughly hip width apart, or you can stagger your stance for more stability. From here, I like to start with my arms tucked in tight. And then what we'll do is rotate through the arms as we press forward. Slowly tuck it back in and press forward. Continue to adjust your distance from the anchor to get the tension that you need. So we're going to do 5 repetitions here just to get a feel for it. So keep yourself nice and tall. With your abs braced, we're going to press forward. Return. 2. Good, good. 4. One more time. And 5. Alternatively, if you want to do single arm, you can bring both handles together. And I like to do this sometimes to add more of a challenge. You'll feel much more resistance here. So you can do that for your workouts. You can also, if that's too much tension, if you take one handle, loop it through the other handle, and that will help to anchor it in place. You'll need a little bit more space for this, but you can still get the same effect just with much lighter tension. So those are your options. And if you only have a loop, very simple. Keep your hands, or both hands will be on the loop, but you're going to keep one hand in close to the center of your body. You can do it more to the side if you like, but keep it in tight regardless. And with the other hand, press your arm forward and then return. And I'm still adding that rotation through the press, but at least this will give you some tension that you can do for the press without having to worry about an anchor, or if you have no tube, then you still have something to work with. And of course, the thicker the band, the more tension you're going to have. That's the chest press. We're going to move on to the next movement, the deadlift. And again, we can use the resistance tubing. So I'm actually going to decrease this a little bit lower. So you may want a slightly lower angle for this one, or anchor point. And you're going to stand far enough away so that you can feel tension in the tube. As you start nice and tall, you're going to hinge through those hips forward, keeping your back flat, soft bend of those knees, and then you're going to stand up nice and tall. Squeezing those glutes at the very top, return down and up. Right? Again, if you need more tension, stand further back. Just be mindful that you're going to get that pull. So slowly down and nice and tall. Let's do 2 more to get the feel for it. Again, it's all about back flat and squeezing the glutes at the top so you're nice and tall. You can also do this, of course you can do this without the tube. You can also do this with a loop. If you're going to use the loop for this, I definitely suggest, highly recommend you doing this without shoes on. So you can use socks or barefoot, because it's going to affect the tension when you do your repetition. So if you have your foot, all right, on the tube, I like to grab the opposite arm, and then from here, you're going to stand up. Slowly down and stand up. If you have shoes, you can imagine that it might overstretch and then the band's going to break on you. So be very careful. I would go lighter tension with this, right? So a thinner loop will give you a little bit more range of motion. And if you're tall, it may not work out well for you. If you're shorter, it'll probably be better. If you have a longer loop, then it'll work for you if you're taller. So just keep that in mind. All right, chest press and the deadlift. So next we have the standing row. We're going to use your tube once again. Now, I didn't mention this with the chest press, but with the chest press, you want this to be about level with your chest, maybe slightly higher depending, or slightly lower than the chest depending on what anchor points you have. But here, same thing. You want it to be about level with the chest, or even with the abdomen, right? Actually, let's do that. We're going to go a little bit lower, level with the abdomen. Because for the row, I'm going to have you stand back far enough so that you can feel that tension in the tubing. Once again, settle in so your hips slightly flex, your knees slightly bent as well, but your spine tall. You're going to pull and then slowly return. Sometimes it may feel uneven, so just readjust the tubing as you see fit. But you're going to pull, driving those elbows back behind you, and then return. Pull return. Nice and slow. Good. You can always double up so that you have both handles in one hand and you pull. Good. Make sure you're not getting pulled in too. You don't want to rotate by allowing your shoulder to get yanked forward. So keep it controlled all the way through. And another thing that you can do too, of course, is you can anchor this like with the chest press. Again, you'll get much less resistance. You need more space, but you can still get the same effects with the movement. You don't have a tube, not a problem. You can still do a row. I know it kind of seems a little strange, but you can absolutely still do the row with the loop. So if you're down on the floor, notice how I have my hands. So one will help keep the loop on the floor. So hopefully you can see me here. So my palm down, and then from here, the other one's going to hold onto it just like a handle. I'm going to pull up, elbow towards the ceiling, and then return. So you still have light tension, but pull, return, pull, return. You want to do this up on your feet. You can absolutely do the same thing. Hand up against the wall and pull. Actually, this is probably a better angle for you. Okay, so again, you can still use this to get in a row. Let's go ahead and work on some abs. I know so many of us like to work on abs. We want to develop that six-pack. So I'll tell you, a lot of that's going to come from nutrition. Just be wary of that, because your abs do exist. Even if you don't think they are there, they are there. But with better eating and more activity, eventually you'll see that abdominal fat decrease, and you're going to get to that six-pack eventually. So, on your back, make sure you have the anchor just a little bit lower for this one, because we're going to work on the abs. So we're going to do some crunches. So make sure you are far enough so that you still get some tension with your arms up towards the ceiling, keeping those hands right over those shoulders and chest, feet flat, back flat, and then you're going to lift the shoulders from the floor to feel that tension in the abdomen, and then slowly return. We're keeping the shoulder stable though. Right? We're not pulling at the arms, trying to keep everything nice and still through the shoulders, so it's only the abs that work. Sometimes you see people kind of use more of the arms, and you can do that. But I feel that this is a great way to focus on the abdomen, not so much the shoulders. Good, good. So we'll stop there. If you don't have that, again, with the loop, one option is to hold on to the loop up overhead and just apply some tension so that you're pulling the hands slightly apart, and then you can do some crunches this way. This is the same thing, not exactly, but now you do get a little bit more of the arms and some of the shoulders involved, to stabilize while you pick your shoulders up off the floor. Just always keep your chin away from your chest. Next, on your feet, we're going to do some squats. We're going to use the resistance tubing to start. I want you standing on the tube, and you'll notice if your feet are closer together, you will get much more slack, right? So less tension. If your feet are wider apart, you'll get much more tension. So just be mindful of that. But what I'm going to do next, I'm going to pull the handles up, and I like to keep the bands behind my arms. You can have them in front if you like to, if that's more comfortable for you. Some people prefer that. Keep those shoulders, the hands in tight to the shoulders. You're going to squat down, right? Sit down into it, and then stand up so you're nice and tall. I'm glad I can actually turn with the tube underneath my feet. You can't do this with shoes. If it's more comfortable for you, just make sure it's right in the middle of your shoe, right in the bottom. Sometimes you get that little arch, and just use that groove. For the loop, so it's going to be slightly different, but definitely a great way to engage those glutes. So you're going to put this on through both legs. As you can see, it's a little tricky sometimes because, nothing is easy, right? So you're going to bring the loop so it's just above the knees. Feet will be roughly hip width or a little bit wider than the hips. Toes comfortably out to the knees. Contract over your toes with each repetition. So again, you can sit down into it. Try to get the torso and shins to be parallel to each other with each repetition.
Good, and we'll stop there. This is, again, a great way to get those glutes a little bit more engaged, especially if the knees tend to collapse inward. You're going to fight that by pressing into the band. We are almost done. We're going to bring these together soon. So standing reverse flies. We're going to use your tube for this one. This will involve wrapping your hands, all right, the tube around your hands. I'm going to get a little closer. So if I'm having it in my hands, I'm just going to wrap it around, all right, to what's going to be comfortable for you. You want enough tension. Let's see if I can, there we go. You want enough tension, and I'm going from the inside over the top, right, inside out. So I'm going to bring it one more time. So the hands are slightly wider than the shoulders. Should give me enough tension to bring those arms out wide. Just like a warm-up. Just squeeze the shoulder blades together and return. Palms will always face downward. But you're squeezing as far back as you comfortably can. Watch your shoulders. It's easy to get the shoulders more involved, right, by shrugging. So keep your shoulders down. Focus the movement on the upper back, right, and squeezing the shoulder blades into the spine. The other option, you have your loop. So you're just going to hold on to it just as such. Elbows stay wide. Notice how it's about chest height. Just going to pull apart, squeezing your shoulder blades, and then return. So less range of motion, but you'll still get activation for the muscles we're targeting. So you're still getting a pull. Good. Again, watch for the shrug. Let the shoulders relax as you pull apart. Doing great. We have the standing lateral step. If you have the loop, I do like using the loop for this a little more than the tube, but the tube is also effective. Keep in mind, movement is mostly through the hips. So the higher up the loop is towards the hips, the less tension you're going to feel. Okay, so you can always start above the knee. I usually start below the knee. The closer to the knee you are, again, it'll be a little bit easier compared to being closer to the ankles. So start high and work your way down. Toes will remain forward. I like to slightly flex the knee, slightly flex the hips, almost like an athletic stance. A little bit of tension to start, and then I step out to the side, bring the other leg in, and then bring it back. Great work for the outer hips. You see those machines in the fitness center, right, where you're sitting down, you're pressing out wide. So this is what we're targeting, is that region. And we get to move in the lateral plane versus everything being forward and back. Good. Let's stop right there. Very nice, very nice. Now always make sure that you keep those abs braced, toes will point forward, and it's going to be true even with the tube. You're going to step on the tube, and you're going to keep your feet, again, roughly hip width apart or so. You don't want the tube to be too tight. If it's any more than 2 to 3 times its original length, right, stretched out 2 to 3 times or more than its original length, it will have tendency to snap, so you're going to be very careful with that. But I crossed the band, or the tube right in front of the legs, and then from here, same thing. Okay, keep my toes forward. So you have your option with either one. That trailing leg, so I step with the left, the right leg should be picked up in order to move inward, right? You don't want either of your feet dragging, because that's another way to ruin the integrity of the elastic, which will then break much sooner than later. So always lift your feet just a little bit. And lastly, a standing rotation. You're going to use your tube. This one is probably best to loop one handle into the other, right? So that now it's not going anywhere. And when you are far enough out, you're going to hold with both hands, and you're going to twist, moving your hips and torso in one direction. If you can get 90 degrees, then do that, and then we'll move directly over to the other side. All right, great way to work those abs and hips while getting a rotational movement. You could fold this in half, but you're going to find it's a lot of tension. So depending on the intensity of your tube, you may be able to do it. If you have the loop, you can do a seated rotation. So legs out in front of you, back flat, recline enough to feel the abs engage, and you can just hold on to the loop. So there's a little bit of tension, and then you're just going to rotate from one side to the other. Again, keeping your back as comfortably flat as you can. Good. All right, we have gone through everything. So if you have both pieces of equipment, you can use either one, right? Whatever your preference is. Otherwise, use what you do have and do that specific exercise. We're doing a circuit workout. Before we get there, have a sip of water if you need it. All right. Now, this is going to be timed. Each set will be 30 seconds in length. So we're trying to get as many repetitions as we can with controlled form. We don't want to fly through this and then you're all over the place, because that certainly can lead to injury. You're going to be less efficient with your movement. You certainly won't see anywhere near the benefit that you're looking to gain. So nice controlled repetition. Just keep it nice and consistent with each movement, right? You want a cadence. 30 seconds for each one. We're going to start with the chest press. So let's get that tube ready. Luckily mine is good and ready. So get ready, get set, and begin with your press. Good. So just like we mentioned, tube inside of the hands or inside of the arms and press. If you do this on your own and you do a single arm, then just add an additional 30 seconds so you can get the other arm as well. So keep going. Nice cadence, nice and controlled. Get your breathing down, because that's always important. And good. We're going to stop right there. That is 30 seconds. Very nice, very nice. So now what we'll do is move on onto the floor. I'm sorry, wrong movement. We're going to do deadlifts. We're doing deadlifts. So let's go ahead and get to the deadlifts. Tube or with the band. 3, 2, 1, and begin. Again, far enough away to get the tension you need. And the other great thing with circuit training is you're going to give yourself just enough rest to move from one exercise to the other. So you may not necessarily need a 30-second or even 60-second rest period. You can shorten that quite a bit. But always listen to your body. Good, and we'll stop right there. If you need longer rest, always take it. Again, you do the workout for yourself, not for anyone else. Good. All right, so now we have the standing row. So again, let's go ahead, use the tube. Position the tube where you need it. So it's more about like level with the gut. So we've got 10 seconds coming up, and then we will begin. So get your footing down, flex, bend the hips, set, and let's pull. Let's go. And if one side feels tighter than the other, just go ahead and reposition. If you can't bring the elbows all the way back, move forward. Doing great. Exhale through the pull. 5 seconds more. And great job. We're going to bring it to the floor now. On your back, we're going to work on those abs. So once again, I'm using the tube. You can use the loop if you like. Far enough away from your anchor. Arms up towards the ceiling. Get the right tension you need. Let's get ready. Let's see, I can't see the timer, so it's going to be any second. And begin. Let's go. Crunch. So again, just lightly pick up your shoulders. You're not doing a sit-up. So most of your back should stay on the floor. You're really just picking up the shoulders to activate those abdominal muscles. Exhale on the way up. Keep that low back comfortably flat on the floor. Remember those, remember a long time ago you had those ab devices where you had your arms resting, to kind of assist you up? Well, this one you have resistance to work against. So it's kind of neat in that sense. But we're going to move on to some squats. So again, you can use either the loop or the tube. I'm actually going to go with the tube today. All right. So remember, step on that tube. Make sure you have even distance here. Nice and even. So let's get ready, set, and begin. All right, so get those arms in position and squat. Notice as I squat again, I want the torso and shins to be parallel, just like train tracks. But the chest will stay up. If you start bending down too much, it could be something with the ankles. Maybe the ankles aren't allowing the knees and hips to bend the way we want them. Yes, everything in the body is connected. Good. Let's stop right there. Moving on to the reverse fly. So with your tube or your loop, wrap around. All right. As I'm holding on, palm is up. I wrap from the outside to the inside of the hands. Have just enough tension. All right. Here we go. I apologize for me showing you the timer, but we have 5 seconds. So get in position, get the tension you need, and let's begin. Pull. If it's too much tension, just unravel. Now, I like to wrap around the hand sometimes. Maybe it's confusing to do so. I like to wrap around the hand, though, because when you have the ends hanging off, it can be distracting. If you're around objects that you don't want broken, you know, that's another good reason to wrap around your hand, because that thing will just swing. But squeeze those shoulder blades. And good. We're going to stop right there. Nicely done. All right, so moving on to the next one, we have the lateral step. And since I have the resistance tube, I'm just going to use that. The loop is something I do like using instead, but this is also great. Okay, so here we go. Make an X in front of your legs. Toes point forward. 3, 2, 1, and begin. Good. So step, bring it in. Remember, never let the feet drag in either direction. That trailing leg should always be controlled. So don't let it snap in, because you're going to take away from your workout. Doing good from the side. So you have a slight bend in those hips and knees. And we're going to stop right there. On to the final movement where we're going to do a rotation. So I'm going to anchor my tube. I'm actually going to fold this in half. This does add more tension. So you're going to do what's going to work best for you. But we're going to get ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Let's go. If it will start. There we go. We got the timer. Good, good. And even in this position, I like to slightly bend my knees. I'm trying to maintain a tall spine. For my breathing, if you are unsure how to breathe, I like to exhale in one direction, inhale in the other direction. But do what's going to work for you. And stop right there. Very nice. That is our first round with those 8 movements. Nicely done. So time for a water break. And if you need to stretch, this is a perfect time to do that. And I'll also point out, if you need to stretch at any point during the workout, please do so. Because if your muscles are talking to you, make sure you listen to them, because they will, well, they'll just scream louder and louder until you do give them attention. I'll put it that way. So when we do get back to it, we will be back at the chest press. Nicely done, nicely done. So again, when it comes to the breathing, generally you are exhaling when you exert your energy. So if you're pressing, you exhale through the push, inhale during the return. If you're pulling, exhale during the pull, inhale on the return. Right? That's typically what you would do. So that's what we'll do today, unless I say otherwise. But let's go ahead Let's get into position for that chest press. So I have my tubing ready. Let's get ready in 3, 2, 1, and begin. There we go. Sometimes the timers just don't work the way you want them to. So again, if it's uneven, reposition. There it is, feels a little more balanced. I like that rotation. For me, I know it feels much more comfortable getting the arms straight, pulling them back in straight, rather than have the elbows out wide. You can do this too, but I like keeping it tighter. Adding that rotation, get a little more shoulders. But we'll stop right there. All right, and we're going to move on to the deadlift. So you may keep the same anchor, or you may need to lower it down, depending on your current setup. So, once again, 30 seconds begins in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. So, bending forward through the hips, and then sitting up tall. And stand far enough back so you can feel the tension in the tube. Squeeze the glutes at the top so you're nice and tall. And then flex only through the hips, a little bit bending in the knees, but not too much. So just watch for that pull. If it's too much, if it's too tight, you're going to get pulled forward, no doubt. But we're going to stop right there and move on to the third movement. And we're going to do the row. So I'm going to lower this down so it's a little bit more in line or level with my abdomen. Again, make sure you get the right tension for each side. Very good. So again, we're going to begin in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's begin. So pull. And I don't think I mentioned this earlier. Your tailbone, see if you can tuck it underneath your spine to keep your spine a little taller, right? So you're not sticking your butt out too much. So go ahead, lessen that curve in your low back. Brace those abs because that'll also help protect the spine. Eyes looking forward. 5 seconds. And stop right there. Very nice. Let's go ahead, move on to the abdominal crunch. Again, I'm going to continue with the resistance tubing. You do what you see fit if you're going to use the loop or the resistance tube. All right. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and begin. As you bring your shoulders down to the floor, keep that low back from arching too much, right? It may have a little bit of an arch depending on your circumstance, but make sure it doesn't increase. Otherwise, try to keep it as comfortably flat as you can. Good. Nicely done. Nicely done. All right, next on our list is the squat. This time, I'm going to use the resistance loop for this one. I'm going to keep that just above my knees as a reminder. You can get a little bit better glute activation with this. So feel a little bit wider than the hips, toes slightly out to accommodate the knee movement. Here we go in 3, 2, 1, and begin. Breathe in, coming down, exhale out. Doing good, doing good. We have 7 seconds remaining. And we're going to stop right there. Nicely done, nicely done. All right, next, the flies. Oh, I'm sorry, look at the warm-up here. We do have the reverse flies. I wasn't wrong. So let's grab your tube or your loop. Again, I'm going to wrap this around. This one does take a little more time to get into position for. But here we go, begin. Pull, and again, if it's too tight, ease up, unwrap. And it's okay if one hand has more, or is wrapped more than the other. That's fine because we're just looking for the tension in the tubing. It doesn't matter if it's even on both hands. If you get the right tension with even wrapping in both hands, then fantastic. But it doesn't have to be. Give me 5 seconds more. And we're going to stop right there. Good. Nice work. All right, moving on to the lateral step. I'm going to use the loop this time. And I'm going to keep this in the lower leg. You can go, again, just below the knee, mid-shin, or just above the ankle. And we have one more movement after this. So always keep slight tension, even when your legs are closer together. Keep it with slight tension. Set and begin. Let's go. Step, bring it in. Good. Brace those abs. And again, you're going to keep those hips and knees slightly bent. Toes are forward as best as you can keep them. 10 seconds to go. You can have your hands on your hips if you don't know where to put your hands. And we're going to stop right there. Excellent job. And now rotation. One more time. Seated with the loop or standing with the tube. Again, try to keep this about chest height, or upper abdomen in that area. All right, fold it in half or anchor so you're longer. So let's get ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and let's begin. Turn, turn. Now, we didn't mention this earlier. Oh, tip for you. In the middle of the set, if you're struggling to complete your repetitions, ease the tension by moving closer to the anchor. Right? It doesn't have to stay the same tension all the way through, because we're just looking, in this case, we're just looking to make it through the time. And we're going to stop right there, everybody. Well done. Well done. So we made it through all of these movements with just simple tools such as the resistance tubing and the resistance loop. So we're going to move into a brief cool down before we let you go. So let's think about some of the areas that we targeted today, right? We definitely got some of the chest. So let's go ahead. I'm going to have you open up your arms so that you look like a T. Arms about chest level. We're just going to squeeze those shoulder blades together. Again, tuck in your glutes and your tailbone, keeping it nice and tall. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Very nice. So we're going to ease out of that. And what I'm going to do is work on the hip flexor. So just like we did in the warm-up, rather, half kneel. Keep the hip stacked over your knee. And this one, we're just going to hold it. So pull in the tailbone and glute underneath your torso. Make sure your leg is where it needs to be. Relax your breathing through the stretch. Again, squeezing the glute. We'll relax this so you can get more of a stretch and switch. I'll turn so you can see me a little bit better. Yeah, we don't have any fancy cameras like the NFL where they can see 360 degrees. That's, I don't even know if I want a camera that can see 360 degrees. That's kind of scary. Great, great. So let's ease out of that. I'm going to bring you back onto your feet, and we're going to do some breathing exercises, but something that's going to help open up the torso as well. Settle your feet roughly hip width. Relax your arms down. Take a deep breath in. Arms come up. Exhale down. Again. Once more. Great job today. Awesome work. If you have any questions, absolutely please reach out to us. I can be contacted at jmartin@goldenhomefitness.com. But again, reach out to us for your personal training needs. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay fit, stay healthy.